Well, Annie, Dave, welcome to New Zealand, your first trip. Now, one thing that's concerned a lot of people, Annie, your voice, you still seem to be having problems with it.
Yeah, it concerns me as well. I don't know what it is. I mean, I sing with sometimes, probably I force my voice too much, and I'm a terrible talker, very compulsive, you see. So as soon as I get near that band Talking Heads, the trouble is that I can't stop talking when I'm anywhere near that lot.
What sort of a problem is it? I mean, is it something that you've got to live with?
Yeah, it is really. I mean, it's what it is basically. The result of it is like a hoarseness. And I can sing with it, but it means that my range, which is normally very... No, I've always had a bit of voice trouble. It's probably I'm just a hypochondriac.
Dave, how do you react when Andy's voice is going down?
The trouble is it affects me as well, because obviously I can't do anything without Annie, so it affects everybody when the whole band's always going around, how's Annie today, you know? Everybody wants to know how she is. If she's feeling really good, then everybody feels really good. If she's got a voice feeling bad, then everybody's walking around.
No, it's very depressing. I mean, it's very depressive because, I mean, I'm talking now, but I'm not really supposed to. After this, I'm going to have to shut up all day just to rest the voice. And people come and say, how's your voice? And you go,
Just to digress and to switch on to something else, how in fact would you describe yourselves?
Musically, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you see, the reason we thought of a name Eurythmics was we didn't want to have a name like the Popsicles or the Ricicle, do you know what I mean? A pop kind of...
Didn't want to sound like a cereal packet.
Yeah. No, we didn't want to have this something, because we wanted to be more of a project, Eurythmics being the project. And so we change our music styles and our band and the way we are all the time. So this particular time, people who see us at the Sweetwater Festival will notice we're almost like a James Brown soul package with a 10-piece band, brass section, the whole sort of showcase thing. Whereas sometimes we might appear with just a double bass, a gospel choir, grand piano, and Annie singing. In fact, last year we played with 7 different outfits.
Was it a conscious decision not to play with a permanent band?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely. Well, you see, we'd been through so many experiences with conventional setup when a group has the same members and you travel around together and it doesn't change, and you've got the one bass player and the one drummer, etc., etc. And we found that ultimately that became a bit damaging creatively, and also the personal relationships. You can run out of each other's company, and in the end you feel as you're just obligated to be doing it, and that's not interesting anymore. So Dave and I have got enough ideas between the two of us to really, I mean, for example, on our albums we really play most of the instruments. We've only ever invited people in to play with us when we really felt that what they had to contribute was so special that we would really like their sound on the album. So basically Eurythmics is a duo in a way that gets augmented by other people.
You know, obviously you've got tremendous talent, and it's obvious in the studio settings of the albums, but also you've been lucky in that you've been able to make use of visual impact. You know, the videos, they've been particularly good. Now, who's responsible for that?
Well, I always write the script for the videos, you know, the storyline. And between Annie and I, we do little cartoon-shaped boxes with all the action that will happen. And then we meet with a cameraman. I chose a particular cameraman that I love to film Don't Look Now and Performance. Those 2 films, which are 2 of my favourite films. We always shoot on 35mm film. And then we have a company called John Roseman Limited, and he finds all the locations that we write in the script. And between us, we make the video. It isn't like a big Hollywood full-scale production, say like a Paul McCartney kind of thing. It's often very low budget, but we know exactly what we want. So, and you usually have to do it all in a day, so you're running around from place to place, trying to get cows in boardroom meetings and all sorts of things like this.
You know, for local musicians who will be watching, you know, the overseas videos are quite awe-inspiring. You know, when you say you do it on a low budget, what is a low budget?
Oh, about £250,000, something like No, I meant between £15,000 and £40,000. Whereas, you know, McCartney one is £250,000.
So maybe that sounds like a lot of money, but comparatively speaking, everything is relative, you see, and so how much a record company is prepared to put into a group and how much they're prepared to put into a video, it's not really that much. If you think about record sales and stuff like that, it is a lot initially, but if a group is selling records and the record company are making money out of them, it's just like their investment, if you like.
Well, yeah, because the video goes all around the world, as you say. I mean, we have never been here before, but everybody's seen us on the TV, which is a fantastic use for a video.
Do you think that the time could ever come when perhaps you wouldn't need to tour, you could just send videos?
Oh, I'm sure people would feel that they wouldn't need to tour, but I don't think that's the point about touring. It's not about just promoting your group. It's really to do with communicating with people and communicating your ideas. It's something so special about a gig for a performer and for the audience, because each minute that goes by will never be repeated again. And that's what's so demanding, and as a performer that's what I love so much, because it means that every night, even though I've sung a song a million times before, the group's played it a million times before, you still have that possibility that it could be different, and it's very challenging.
Well, also I think in most situations a band is often a lot better live than they could ever be on record or on film, simply because it's spontaneous.
I'll come back to a couple of those points, but just while we were talking about the videos, you know the masculine thing that you occasionally push across, but was that a conscious effort just for videos?
No, not really. It really wasn't as conscious as people might think, and in fact it's sort of engendered a great deal of publicity that wasn't supposed to, really meant to be intended so much. I suppose because at the same time, coincidentally, there were other kind of androgynous symbols going around in the form of Boy George, and now we've got Marilyn. I find it quite amusing, but it was basically, it started off because I didn't really want to present myself as a girl singer in a pretty dress, looking pretty and looking fairly sort of, how can I say, impotent in that situation, which I feel girls often are. They just look pretty, and that's full stop. There's a lot more to me than just that. So to start with, I wanted to wear trousers because it gives you a certain amount of mobility on stage. And it developed from that, and that I didn't want to look like, in London we're very conscious of style and fashion, but the sort of cult fashions. And I didn't really want to represent any of those cults, so I was looking for something that was just sort of simple and clean cut and inexpensive. So Dave and I went into an Italian, sort of off the peg men's shop and bought a couple of suits that were very cheap, just off the peg, and got them altered to fit me a bit. And that was just something that also in the video for Love Is a Stranger, I felt it was important to sort of represent myself as, we discussed this as different characters, and ultimately was a man.
But in all the videos, it's funny because some people get a bit confused and they see one video of ours like Sweet Dreams, and they start talking about image and saying, oh yeah, our image is like, and it's not an image at all, we're just playing parts of characters. I mean, if you look all the way through the videos, from Who's That Girl, for instance, Annie's got like a blonde wig and she's playing the part of a cabaret singer. You couldn't very well say, oh no, that's your image now.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about my style perhaps, but I can't talk about my image, because image is something that's just been sort of created by the media. And that's, in a way, although you're responsible for the first thing that happens, once the media gets hold of it, it can change into something ultimately that really you're not that responsible for, Like once you've been in Reveille or Titbits, you're not quite the same person.
It'll be very difficult to reverse. You mentioned the media and the way that they'll home in on something.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you ever combat what the media tends to do with things?
Oh, well, we did, because, you see, before, we've been in groups before, and we knew all the mistakes and pitfalls before we started Eurythmics. So Eurythmics is a very different group, really, and for instance, the question you've just asked, I already said we've already changed 7 times last year. And in fact, this year, we'll go through loads of different metamorphoses.
We don't know what they are yet. That's the real beauty of it, you see. Because we wanted to be able to change when we wanted to stop that awful kind of rot setting in when things just stabilise and stagnate. So what we do is we just go on our instinct. We never really know what we're going to do. But somehow an idea pops up and you'll go, that's great, let's do it, and we organise it.
Yeah, but the thing is, we never know what we're going to change into, but we know, what I was going to say was, we know that we are going to change. We don't know what it might be. So, and that's why we made it, so that there's only 2 of us, and we owned our own recording studio and our own rehearsal rooms, and